Welcome to HR Voices, a podcast where people leaders share their side of the story. We talk about the challenges they're facing, how they're addressing them, and what changes they hope to see as the workplace evolves. This podcast is sponsored by All Voices, the all-in-one employee relations platform. Hello, and welcome to HR Voices. I'm your host, Rebecca Taylor, and I'm here with Michael Bodziner. He's the co-Chief Human Resources Officer at Gensler. Michael, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Rebecca, thank you. I'm honored to be here with you today.
I am particularly excited to chat with you because I see, when I was looking at your background before we started this conversation, I see that you've been at Gensler for 40-something years, and that's not something that you see very often, just in any type of capacity. So I'm hoping that you're willing to go on this little bit of a journey with me and that we could talk a little bit about your role now, but importantly, kind of how you got here. Like, how did you end up where you are now? What were the paths that you took along the way? I'm starting with a big, broad, open question.
I love this question. So thank you for asking it. And the first thing I'll say is that I am one of many people that have been at Gensler for decades. As unique as it may sound, we are an incredible firm. I obviously am bragging. That's why I've been here as long as I have,
You
along
should
with
brag.
many other colleagues that have been here 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and more years. Anyway, thank you for asking that. Yeah, I started at Gensler as a summer intern in the summer, I'm going to date myself, but the summer of 1985, when I was studying interior architecture design at California College of the Arts in San Francisco. And all of my professors referenced Gensler as the benchmark of architecture design firms. So when I got that summer internship, it was the first of many magic moments that I would begin to experience, on my journey here at Gensler. I loved it. I knew after the first week I was in this internship that I loved the firm. I wasn't astute enough to realize it was the culture that was resonating so strongly, but it was just amazing. So at the end of the summer, I had to go back to school for my final semester, reluctantly, but of course I had to finish school. And I was so fortunate, my last week of school, I got a call, ironically, from the HR director saying, Michael, we know you finished school on Friday. Can you start permanently with us on Monday? So I think my internship was my interview process, right? Yeah. And so for
So cool.
28 plus years, I was a design practitioner. I had a brief career when I first got my first degree, my liberal arts degree in art history, in retail. And when I came to Gensler, another magic moment was the firm started focusing on building their retail design practice. And my boss, my director, knew that I had experience on the client side of retail, right? And so she said, come join me and the whole team to build the retail design practice at Gensler. I didn't even know what that meant, but of course I said yes. And over the years, along with many other people, we've built a very robust retail design practice here at the firm. And somewhere along the way, I was asked to be a studio director. We're organized in studios here at Gensler. By the way, we're a global architecture design firm. We have 56 offices globally, and we're about 6,400 people. We're very large for
Wow.
our industry and what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I became a studio director, and I knew at that point, if I was going to be a studio director, I wanted to be the best studio director I could be. And for me, that meant looking after the people, the 40-something people
Mm.
that were in my studio that reported to me. I wanted to be there for them and help them navigate their careers at Gensler. And I had so much to share at that point, right? Successes, missteps, lots
Life,
of life
work
experience.
life. Yeah.
Exactly, work life, and this culture that I love so much about the firm. And so that was a big shift I had to make consciously in my role to get out of the weeds of having the burden of the project deliverables and to be more of a project director, a client relationship leader, a business developer, so that I could have the bandwidth to put my people first, to spend time
Mm.
with my people, to get to know them. What are their aspirations? Where are they struggling? What are they loving about their emotional connection to the Gensler brand that they work for? What did they love about it? And where were they kind of having challenges with the way we do things, right?
Yeah.
And I had great success, very little turnover. So flash forward, this is probably 12 years ago. I say it was a day like any other. I'm sitting at my desk. The phone rings. It's my boss. And he said to me with no emotion in his voice whatsoever, hey, it looks like you're free for about the next hour, hour and a half.
Mhm.
come take a walk with me down to Starbucks. There's something I really want to talk to you about. I
That's
was
not scary. Maybe
convinced
it's just my I would have been terrified.
I was terrified, terrified. I knew a client had complained, somebody in the studio I was in trouble. And
Yeah,
out of
an hour and
respect,
a half too, off
yeah,
campus, as I like to say. It's like, "Oh, no, we're going all rogue over here."
that's right, and out of the glass fishbowl where everybody I'm making this up, everybody can see me have an emotional breakdown when he gives
Yep,
me critical feedback that I couldn't handle, okay?
yep. Oh, yeah.
Hamster on the wheel,
Yep.
trying to figure it all
Isn't it
out.
great how we sabotage ourselves too? We just always
Totally.
assume the worst thing. We're like, "Obviously, this person hates me, and this is gonna be the worst thing ever." But
Yeah.
that's rarely the case.
It's human to be insecure, no matter how old you are, no matter how much experience, whatever. So we walk the two short San Francisco city blocks from the office to Starbucks. We sit down, and Scott says to me, I know you're going to think this is coming out of left field, but I'd like you to seriously consider taking the Northwest region. We're organized in regions, the Northwest region HR director role. Okay.
Okay.
Total 180 from the role that I was in as a designer, right?
Yeah. And how long did it take for that to sink in that conversation, going from, "This is gonna be really, like, really bad," to, "Wait, wait, what?" How long did it take for that flip?
Well, I promise this next part of my story is true, and I'm not making it up for the sake of it being great on a podcast. 3 weeks earlier, I had a reading with a medium who predicted this was gonna happen.
No way. Okay. I could sidebar this whole conversation just on that, but I won't for now.
Okay. So she said to me in the reading, "There are changes coming to you professionally. Someone in your organization is gonna vacate a role, and you're gonna be asked to fill it. It's gonna be similar to what you do, but very different. You're gonna think you can't do it, but you can actually do it very well. The ball will be in your court." And I love this next line. Don't let fear be the deciding factor. And I
That's
give that
gonna be the
advice.
caption for this episode.
Don't let fear be the deciding factor. I'm not a huge risk taker. And so, as Scott is explaining to me why he's choosing me to step into HR that I had no professional training or experience in, just being in the trenches of leading people, right? And
Yeah.
loving the firm and the culture and having been at the firm for 28 years at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And I was
incredible.
right? And so, I even tell a lot of our, new hires when I'm giving them just advice and an orientation or whatever, don't let fear be the deciding factor. Go for it.
Love
Trust,
that.
you know?
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's such a good takeaway too, because how easily can we just sort of put up roadblocks that aren't even real for ourselves too? The
totally.
self-doubt creeps in so easily. I think I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't psychologize, but
Yeah,
there's the instinct part, or the part of our brain that wants us to keep with what we know and what's familiar because that's what's safe. Change is dangerous, the unknown is dangerous. And since
yes,
we're no longer out there, getting hunted by bears, we get afraid of things like career changes the same way as
yes,
if we were being chased by bears. So
yes.
I think that's really great advice, and it's really, really brave of you to take that up
Well,
and to run with it.
at the same time that it was really scary,
Yeah.
it was exciting as well. It's that thing in the pit of your stomach that says, "I have to do this." I was
Mhm.
looking for a change. I wasn't gonna leave Gensler, and I trusted the firm at this point that whatever the opportunity was gonna be, it was gonna show itself, and that I needed to have my eyes open to see those opportunities
Mhm.
and to have the open-mindedness to pursue the ones that felt right for me at any given time, and this one felt right. I had a
Yeah.
zillion questions. I was worried about my reputation, where my peers were going to accept me in this role of HR
Yeah.
director for a region when, anyway, I
Yeah,
must
they
have
know you as something different, and it's like this identity shift between what you were and what you are now, and how do I interact with you differently and the same, and especially when you're going into a field like HR where it can sometimes feel very closed off from the rest of the organization just
yeah,
because of the nature of the work.
yes. Well, as a studio director at the firm, I knew what we weren't getting from our HR team. And
Mhm.
it got me excited to get into the role and to make some changes because I had
Mm.
run a business unit for the firm and relied on our wonderful HR professionals that preceded me. But because when I was a practitioner, my focus was focusing on the customer experience when designing a retail prototype store, I turned that internally to focus on the employee experience or what we call
Mm.
the team member experience. We don't like the word employee. It sounds so corporate, right?
Yeah, it is
And
a little
so that's
corporate.
how I approached this when I jumped in to the role. And ironically, being based in San Francisco and Silicon Valley's in our backyard, tech was taking a lot of our talent.
Mm.
Our voluntary turnover was very high, and the first thing I
Yeah.
wanted to do was to look at where were the issues and how could I help solve it so that we were retaining the talent that we needed. We are a people first organization and culture, right? We're not an assembly line, we don't create widgets. Our people are our greatest asset. That's where the ingenuity, the innovation, the creativity, the thought leadership comes from. So attracting and retaining the best talent we can get is what we're all about at the firm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that was something I wanted to tackle. So we worked with an outside consultant for a year and articulated and created a people first philosophy for the firm. And
Mm.
I started piloting just some little things that were making a difference in our people feeling that the firm saw them and heard them and cared about them in ways that maybe HR previously was more focused on operations and compliance and
Mhm.
policy and
Mhm.
not prioritizing the team member experience, which is how I wanted to lead HR with my team in the Northwest region. And I had great success and it went viral across the firm. And in 2020, I was asked by our CEOs to step into a CHRO role
I
and
know that
lead a
one's always hard to say.
entire firm. And of course, 8 weeks, 12 weeks later, there was a global pandemic, and I'm on the front line leading our people strategies. Talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, you know?
Yeah, and that was when it was, I'm sure, imposter syndrome, and also just there was so much uncertainty at that time with how long is it going to be like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
How deep do we go in these policies? Because is it going to be 2 weeks? Is it going to be 2 years? There's the uncertainty and fear of that climate and that time combined with the new role that you're onboarding and the imposter syndrome. That's like the perfect storm of resilience building, I think.
Exactly, exactly. But I'm so fortunate to work with amazing colleagues here at the firm. And of course, I didn't do any of this on my own. And we had great success safely getting our people home and IT getting all of our documents and everything up in the cloud so people could, the rest is
Yeah.
sort of history. But anyway, that's what led me to this role of CHRO. And I'm in a co-leadership role now. This co-leadership model is very typical here at Gensler. We have co-CEOs and co-regional managing principals and co-office directors and co-studio directors. But I realized shortly after I was in the role that for a firm like ours, it's bigger than one person to be a CHRO. And I
Yeah.
actually requested a co. And I was so lucky, my co, Larissa Gray, shout out to Larissa. Larissa was
Larissa.
our global director of compliance. She has a legal background, which of course I
Mm,
don't. And we are
yeah.
just the perfect partnership to lead our people strategies for the firm. Yeah, yeah,
I think that's such a cool approach too, because that's the thing about HR is that it's such a big role because, you're responsible for every single employee. You have just as much span of control in a lot of ways as the CEO in a way that no other type of leader at the organization can say, right? Everyone else has marketing and sales and design and whatever it is, but HR is all encompassing. And the
yes,
role in and of itself can get really complicated because, to your point, there's the compliance, there's the benefits, the payroll, and then there's the team member experience side of it where how do we, create a people first culture? How do we work together? How do we thrive? And it's actually kind of funny that you're saying this or that this is sort of how that role came out because I've always said that I feel like HR needs to you can't be good at all of those things
no way.
to run, and everyone kind of has their, specialty, right? But if you're
Yes.
owning all of it, I think it's really, really smart to balance it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me, when I was first talking to Scott about taking this role, I said, I don't know anything about immigration and, visas and green cards. And I don't know that much about compensation and benefits. And he said,
Yeah.
you've got experts to rely on for that. That's not
Yeah.
why I want you in this role. And that
Yeah.
took so much pressure off of me to have to be the expert at all those things. Because, like you said, And we say this at Gensler, we all have aces and spaces, right? We all have our
Mm,
strengths and we all have our soft spots. And
yeah.
when we're in a partnership or a team, if we can team up with people that complement our spaces and our aces can complement our teammates' spaces, that's
Spaces.
how you
Yeah.
get a strong functioning team. And
Yeah.
that's what we built in terms of our HR organization at Gensler, and we're always striving to keep elevating to be a true business partner to the practice and get out of the
Yeah.
transactional reputation, but get more
Yes.
into that strategic partner reputation
Yeah.
and mode. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so refreshing to hear that, to be completely candid, because the last, I don't know, it even started before COVID. I think I've kind of seen this trend from when Silicon Valley really started to explode. Then it's had sort of ripple effects across different industries at different times, but there's been so much more pressure to do more with less and try to cram as much into one person's expertise. And you see the rise of, the player coach model, where a manager is also responsible for their own portfolio of work in addition to managing their own people. And
Yes.
you know how it goes. People are going to lean into what's more comfortable, and dealing with people's not as comfortable as I just have to get this project done. So one gets neglected, which is the most important part of it. I mean, I'm from HR, so I'm biased. I think that people
Yeah.
are the most important part of it.
Yeah.
So it's just really refreshing to hear that there are organizations out there that aren't looking at that model where everything has to be shoved under one person who has to be good at everything.
Exactly, exactly. And this co-leadership model I keep talking about, it's great because one of the leaders can be focused on the external, on the market, on business
Yeah.
development, on clients, on just being visible out there, and the other can be
Yeah.
more internally focused on our people.
Yeah.
Like you said, instead of expecting one person to, do all of that and keep all the balls in the air, and it's impossible. It's a
Yeah.
ridiculous expectation. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that a lot of HR people are kind of suffering with. I mean, I'm sure it happens in other, in other professions too. I just try to speak about the ones that I know. So I'm not, speaking on behalf of anybody who may feel differently. But I know a lot of what I hear from HR folks is that they are expected to kind of know how to do everything and to do everything and have so few resources. And the theme that's really kind of been resonating a lot for me in your story is just the level of support
Mm,
that allowed you to to take advantage of your own skill set and your own strengths, just because I think that there's a lot to be said about being able to live in your strengths and in your aces, as you say. And
yes,
psychologically, I know that's also better for people's well-being and mental health too. When you're developing someone, you want to develop their strengths to be stronger. There's always going to be room to fill the gaps in skill development, right? But if you spend more of your development focused on fixing all the things that aren't right, you're just going to be burning people out, and you're not going to be running a functional development organization or people organization or anything. But that's my soapbox for the
Rebecca, you
day.
are preaching my sermon. I love it. Love it. Really, it's true. It's really true. Because when you think about when you are doing what you love to do, work doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
Your work product, your experience is so much better than
Yeah.
trying to be put as a round peg in a square hole, right?
Yes.
I will never be a left brain mathematical analytical person.
Me
And if
neither.
anybody's ever expecting me to be that, I will, excuse me, but I will suck at my job,
Yeah.
right?
Same. Yeah.
But see, Scott also, and this is what I keep, telling our leaders, you got to know your people really well. You need to know what are their aces? What do they love to
Yeah.
do? What are they looking for in their relationship with their employer, with Gensler in this case?
Yeah.
Where do they want their career to go? What kind of projects do they want to work on? What kind of clients do they want to work on? What colleagues do they want to work with? The more you know about those individuals and what drives them, the better equipped we are to help guide them into roles and on projects that are going to allow them to celebrate and do what
Yeah.
they love to do. And then our
Yes.
clients are going to benefit because what they're getting is so much better.
Yeah.
Danny Meyer, the restaurateur in New York, has written a book
Yes.
called Setting the Table. I can't
I know that's the
recommend it
book.
enough to HR folks.
I'll back that up. I agree.
Have you
Yeah.
read the book? Yeah.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
He believes what I believe, and I'm sure you do too, and many people listening, that when our people feel well taken care of, right, our employees, When they feel that they're being paid adequately, they have great health benefits, they're doing what they love to do, they're respected, whether you're a line cook, as he would say, or a hostess or a waiter or whatever. When people are doing what they love to do, they're happy and they're engaged, and the customers in his restaurants, the diners benefit from that. Well, we feel the same way internally at Gensler. Our clients benefit when our people are engaged and happy and doing what they love to do and growing and feel that somebody has their back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because it's hard to find those cultures that actually mean what they say when they, because that's the hard part is there's a lot of organizations that will say that they're, people forward. And then when it comes down to how they really make decisions and how they operate, that's just not the same level of standard that you're talking about. And it's something I've actually seen it, in working with the team at All Voices. I'm new to taking over the podcast. I'm still meeting so many new members of the team. And the thing that has been sort of continuous, I've known the company for a while. I've known the key folks that I work with day to day for a while. But even as I meet more people, that it's a very similar type of culture. It's very much you have an idea, try something, like we'll support you, we'll see if it works. And there's a lot of trust in the organization too, and that's kind of when you're in an environment where you're able to work with when you're able to leverage your aces and find the spaces for others to come in. That's when you really find true teamwork, because you don't have someone saying, I'll just take this all from start to finish because that's what I'm expected to do. It's, hey, I'll do this part of this project because this is where I'm really good, this is where I need your partnership and help. And then you have collaboration, you have teamwork, you have all the things that actually allow a company to win.
Yeah, exactly. In HR, obviously, we deal with a lot of different personalities and experiences and people from different backgrounds and family, situations that inform who they are as adults in the workplace, right? So much of our time can be consumed with, employee relations issues and conflict and what have you. I think it's really important, and we know that our HR people are held at a different standard, right?
Yes.
But I
Yep.
think it's important that we are always working on ourselves,
Yes.
right? And evolving and
Agree.
trying to have insight into what's making us feel insecure or threatened at a certain point, and to
Yeah.
try to evolve beyond that so that we can be our best and represent, examples of it's okay to have, soft spots and weaknesses, but
Yeah.
I'm really great at this, and that's where I'm excelling. And I'm not going to feel threatened when somebody comes in that's better at something than I am to partner with me on whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah. That could be a fun exercise for anyone who's listening to this, is really think about what are your aces. Because we talk a lot about on this podcast, especially about how we're sort of in this moment with AI and everything that's sort of affecting HR. We're sort of in this moment where we're all learning out loud and no one knows anything, right? Because as soon as you think you know something, it's changed or it's evolved. So we're sort of in this space of, everyone is kind of on a level playing field in some ways where no one really knows what they're doing. It's just kind of how you're learning it and how you're growing it.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of HR people that are spiraling and kind of feeling like, I'm trying to keep up with AI, I'm trying to do this. And it's almost a good reflection point to sort of say, let's just pause for a second. Let's ground this in things that we can say for certain. What are you really good at? Let's make sure that we're focusing on that, and we're not just, spiraling over all the things that we don't know, because those two things can complement each other. When you find something you're really good at, it's like, how can I use that to help me grow a skill that maybe I'm struggling to grow?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I know we're just at time. I
Oh
I
my
could talk
God.
to
This
you all day.
yeah.
I know. I know. Do you have any closing thoughts you want to share with everybody who's listening?
I just have such admiration for anyone that has chosen a career in human resources. And I
Yeah.
just want to encourage everyone to do what you do best, for the conversation we've been having, and to keep elevating no matter where your HR organization is currently within your company. Keep striving for HR to be a true business partner, a strategic business partner. Yes, there are transactional things that have to happen all the time. I know we didn't get into AI, and that's fine. I'm no expert. But in our firm, we're looking at AI as we're exploring AI and we're getting, train workshops and whatever. We're not looking at it to replace jobs, right? We're looking at it to handle a lot of the transactional stuff. And in
Yes.
HR, we want AI to do the transactional stuff so we can free our people to upskill and to grow and to be more strategic and to have more time to explore all of those things that are going to make the team member experience the most rewarding and personal that it can be for everyone coming to work every day at Gensler. So I encourage all of you out there, if you can, to focus on that going forward if you're not already. Yeah.
Yes, yes. If I knew how to do this, I would insert an applaud soundbite here for because I feel like there's going to be a lot of just sort of celebration for that right now because
Maybe your
I love that.
textbook can do that for you.
Maybe AI can do it. Maybe I could say, "Hey, AI, insert."
Exactly. Exactly. This went so fast, Rebecca. Thank you. I can't believe it's already over.
This did I know. Thank you so much, Michael, for being here, and thank everybody for listening. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. And thank you all. Bye.
I